psychological abuse, I think people don't realize, most people don't realize it's happening to them. Like physical abuse, like people are more aware of it, like, but not everybody is just, getting beat by fist. They're getting psychologically abused at home. Women who earn 65% or more of their household incomes are more likely to be psychologically abused than women who earn less than that. And that goes back to, in case anybody doesn't know, normally abusive type of people or partners out there, they choose someone that is like a perfectionist, somebody that wants to achieve things. They're normally very educated, they're very intelligent. They choose those people to be their partners for a reason. Like that is a known thing out there, is the people that are being abused, it's almost like they're weak, but the reality is they're actually the stronger one of the relationship. Really, they're the one that are more likely to succeed. They're smarter. There's a lot more to that, elements to it that I think a lot of people that's just some, it's like a pitiful person, but actually abusers tend to pick somebody that's not a pitiful person, not a weak person. They actually like somebody strong so they can break them down, because it takes a long period of time. It's not immediate. You're not normally jumping a relationship and suddenly it's abusive. It's not like that. They normally have a way to get in with you. And nowadays the terms now, since it's been, in the 2000s and stuff like that, they have terms called love bombing, where a person comes in and they meet you and they love bomb you, where they're constantly complimenting you and constantly just loving the crap out of you in ways that you've never experienced with any relationship before this. And you're like, wow. And, you feel so happy and worthy and good. And then slowly over time, that kind of goes away and it deteriorates to ways that they're they can be telling you where your money's going to go. They're going to be telling you how to dress. They start controlling who you talk to, when you can see your family, when you can see your friends. And so this is becoming and that goes part of gaslighting and all those, they all go hand in hand, and they're all bits and pieces that we've now have terms and more of an understanding of what they even are, because we didn't have that before, but we understand them now as we move forward with more people coming out and more stuff happening. We're actually more aware of what's going on, and it's a shame that this is happening. But I think, again, the more that you're aware that you are, the more that you can be like, wow, this is not what I think it is, and get the help that you need to get away from it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because there really wasn't a gauge before. People didn't talk about the psychological abuse. I think people like me, we grew up watching made-for-TV movies, and we knew abuse as the burning bed. Farrah Fawcett in the burning bed. Someone was being hit. But if you have someone who's demeaning you, who's constantly criticizing you, and they're telling you it's for your good, just want you to improve, or trying to convince you that you're the problem. Well, you're to blame, because you didn't do this, or you didn't read my mind, or I changed what I expected, but it's still your fault. And that will break a person very quickly. The other thing is that if you've grown up hearing those things, if that's something that you've always dealt with your entire life, it's not going to seem abusive to you. It's going to seem like the people that loved you. Like if it was your family, the person you pick is kind of like, the people that you grew up with, and you're just going to continue that because you won't know that it's wrong for someone to treat you that way, or to talk to you like that, or that possibly could be their fault and not yours.
In the podcast series, Something Was Wrong, I believe the first one is about someone who was swept off her feet, and then her fiance he would question things. And it's kind of like, at first he was enthusiastic about her and everything about her and about her family. And then as the wedding was coming on, he just started getting occasionally withdrawn. And sometimes he would just question, why are you doing this thing? Why are you wearing that? And then she would respond and he would say, oh, never mind. And it just puts you off. You're like, is there something I was missing? Is there something I shouldn't be doing? And it was, and she said, she started saying it was insidious, that she would be like, oh, am I doing something wrong? And then she'd be looking to her partner and trying to please him and try to appease him. And he wouldn't even have to get upset at her. He would just, express some discontent, and she'd be like, "Oh, oh, I'm sorry, honey. Let me change this for you." And with and it was, she just never asked herself, why is this happening all of a sudden? And the usual reason is, for the serial abusers especially, they have two basic modes. The first one is the Prince Charming, where they come on just amazing, positive, encouraging, supportive, basically everything you did not know you wanted in someone, all wrapped up into a tidy package and given to you. And you are just like, I could live the rest of my life like this. The problem with the serial abuser is that part of their persona is, I can't say false, but it's there for a purpose. And when it served its purpose, they discard it in private with you.
Bait and switch. They bait you in with the best bait possible that you're like, this is amazing. And then as soon as you're in, oh, by the way, it was your lunch now. Like it's a bait and switch thing. Yeah.
But you will still see them do that with their friends. They'll be that person with their friends.
Exactly. Yeah, but they can't sustain it because that's too much for anyone to keep going with. It's unrealistic. So that's why you can't expect it to continue. You have to wonder, is it just me that's seeing it this way? Are other people seeing them this way? Because sometimes you warn, if you see something in with your friend's relationship, you do kind of warn them or you kind of talk to them about it. But they're not seeing it that way. There's a need there. There's a need for them to be loved that way, or there's a need for them to seek that kind of treatment. So you have to be careful as a friend too, how you bring it up, what you're seeing, because you could also be isolating them by the words that you use, and they'll be isolated already with someone who's abusive. You just have to, be careful in the words that you choose as much as you want to help someone.
I can tell you, in my early 20s, I was in a really bad abusive relationship, and my mom knew, and she kind of had the same thing. She didn't want to isolate me and push me away so then I would just have him. And I wasn't aware of it, I guess. I don't really know why I didn't really see it, but my mom finally kind of, because she kind of was trying to hint around about it, and like, there's something not right, something's off about him, something's, but same thing, everybody I would see, his family and friends, everybody was like, he's the nicest guy ever, and he's just so great, and just everybody loved him. And he was just high, like he was such a put on this high pedestal of he's just so smart and he was so kind and he just was this super, super great guy. So of course, even when there was things that I started kind of thinking this is different or that's kind of not normal, I still would think, but he's a nice guy, or he had a bad day, or I would think he's having trouble with work or finances or something was going on. But it wasn't until almost years later that I was in the relationship for way too long than I should have been, and I shouldn't have been there at all. But it wasn't until really terrible things happened, really, really, really bad things happened. And even when they happened, I still was there. I still was staying, I wasn't leaving. And, in my family, my mom had got to a point where when all these bad stuff had happened, she literally was almost like, you have to make a choice, either this abusive person towards you, because she literally at this point was like, he's abusing you, or your family. Like, we're here for you, but he's abusing you. And so at the time when it first happened, I was like, fine, I'll choose the abuser, because like I didn't understand what was really going on. I was like, he's not abusive. And then when all this stuff had happened and it got really bad, when I figured it out, I was so far deep in. And then I thought, well, how the hell do I get out of here? And where do I go? And what do I do? And I mean, thankfully, I didn't marry him. Thankfully, we didn't get to that point. But he was trying to, he wanted to get engaged right away. Like, I want to say maybe when I first met him, it was like a month. Like, it was very, very early. Like, and that's now looking back was a sign. Somebody that needs to like put like a ring on your finger right away, there's a reason they don't want to lose you. Like, and now that's a red flag for me, like right away. Anybody that needs to be that possessive, like, and I'm not saying anything about relationships with marriage, stuff like that, but when you're just dating somebody, getting to know somebody, and they're like, let's get married, like, here's a ring. And, I mean, he had gone to the extent of, he bought me a ring and everything. And it was like, I want to say it was a month. We had only known each other for like a month. And I was like, whoa, that seems really fast. And at the time I was really young and whatever. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that, whatever. And he took it very offensively. So later on in our relationship, when the Prince Charming started going away, that was kind of one of the things that he could bring up of like, it's my fault of why he's treating me that way, is because I turned him down. And so that was one of the things, like, I think I did believe that. I believed a lot of the stuff was my fault. I did it. I earned the way that I was getting treated, kind of thing. And getting out was hard, extremely, extremely hard. It was really, really bad. Like I did need the help of my family. Like, you can't do it alone. Like, it's almost impossible, I want to say, to do it by yourself. Like, you have to call and find somebody in your area to get help. You have to go to your friends or family. Like, you have to rely on someone else to escape, because escaping isn't what you think it is. And my family did. They basically almost like hid me away, I guess you could say, and got me out as much as they could. And even after I had got away, or what I thought I had gotten away, a while later, I still was going back, because I still didn't really understand. And probably that was years later. I was like, it was kind of like more on top of my regret. But at the time, I really believed, I was so young, I really believed like, this was it. This is what relationships are all about. I believed, like, I don't know, I guess I just didn't know that there's such thing as healthy relationships. Like, I thought an unhealthy relationship was how it really was. This is how the guys are supposed to treat you. Like, I really believed it was the way that it was. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to go with anyone else. I'm just going to go with him. Like, I just love him so much. I just got to go with him. So it was like, I was going back. But when I went to go back, I had the most weirdest thing happen to me. His sister told me, you don't deserve to be here anymore. And that made a big difference, where his sister actually was like, he's mean to you and you don't deserve this anymore. And that was a moment, like, and then one of his best friends told me the same thing. He is abusing you. And so not only was I hearing it from my friends and family, but now I started hearing it from his friends and family. And then that was when I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. And so that was the final door. But I mean, it took a very, very long time for me to get away. I would leave and go back and leave and go back. And I did that yo-yo thing back and forth with him. And then it took me a long time to even get over it, because I really had to understand later on that that's not the way that relationships are. They're not like that. And another thing, looking back, he had a gambling problem, probably a little bit of, he would drink and get mean. So I was like, oh, he's a drinker and get mean kind of guy, which is no excuse. I don't care. If somebody's drinking and they're mean to you, don't be around them. You don't deserve it. It just, no, it's not acceptable behavior. And just because they're drinking, because that's not true. I'm now married to a guy that's sober, but he used to be a heavy drinker, and He's never, ever, ever laid his hands on me, and he's never called me a bad name. That was him drinking day and night all the time. And I've seen him when he's upset and hurt and angry and all that stuff. And he's never done those things to me. So that is a cop out that we say, oh, they were drinking. No, if they're laying their hands on you or they are being abusive, that is abuse. That's all it is. Don't make excuses. That's what it is, period.
I have a question. I was in a short abusive relationship, and two things got me out in a hurry. One was my father. Let us put it this way. He was not necessarily the best husband or father. So I was like, I don't want to hang out with someone like Dad. And secondly, he hit me and gave me a black eye. And the funniest thing happened is we went out to eat, and he's like, he looked at the shiner I had and he says, aren't you going to put makeup on that? And I'm like, dude, you put it there. Are you worried that people are going to see it and think you put it there? So I knew he was a coward. But the thing is, when he hit me, you know, he'd already tried to distance me from my family. Oh, they don't love you. They're not good to you. And I'm like, dude, you're talking about, I mean, I didn't say it to his face, but I was thinking, that's my family you're talking about, you asshole. I was mad. And then when he hit me, I was like, and now I'm really mad. And then, you know, I basically made plans to leave, and then I left, and then I didn't go back because I was never going back. Sorry. But yeah, part of it was anger. Part of it was anger. He made me angry, and I cannot say why. I mean, but that was it. That was, did you ever get angry at him or not? Or did you just get angry at yourself?
I did get angry at him. I think I got angry at both of us, but if I got angry or if I said anything, it was like he could twist it around backwards on me. So when I would question anything or say anything or be like, that's not right. And, you know, or I would get like upset or whatever, he could just twist it.
There's so many people who don't realize that this is not how you're treated in a relationship that's worth staying in.